Hello, bookish friends in the internet. Welcome back to my account. My name is Drew, and this is Drew's Ambitious Reading. And for today's video, I am very excited. Sorry this is such a late upload because I thought I've already filmed this video, but when I looked back at my camera roll, it looked like I didn't film it. So I am here to film my November wrap-up. Yay! I kept this on the board, that way I can use this for the video. Anyways, that's not important, but today's video is gonna be my November wrap-up. November, I don't know about you guys, but I felt like November was a long month, and B, very slumpy. I don't know if anyone else felt like that. I was so stressed. I had 2 books to read and review for you guys, which I'm going to talk about those in the very beginning of the wrap-up. And I read 1 book that got me into a reading slump. I also went back to work in November, so that was very exciting. And it still is very exciting. So yeah, this week I'm filming a lot of videos for you guys because it is Bookmas month. I have tons of books here, tons of books there, tons of books everywhere that I'm going to be filming. If you see my bookshelves are a mess like this, it's because I'm filming another video after this. Anyways, with that long intro, let's jump into my November wrap-up. As always, we start off with our monthly stats and our monthly page count and our favorite and least favorite books. I've read, I don't know if I said it yet, but I read 7 books for the month of November, which is really good. So yeah, let's just jump into the reading stats for this month. So as always, I have my notebook here, but as always, starting off, we have 0 1 star, 0 2 stars, 2 3 stars, 2 4 stars, 3 5-star reads, which was amazing. 2 of these were ARCs, 5 of these were audiobooks, 0 book of the month picks, 1 of these was a buddy read, 0 completed series, 0 graphic novel, 1 library book, finally. 2 physical reads, 4 new releases that came out in 2022, 0 Owl Crate, and 4 of these were on my November TBR list. So, and then our page count was 3,084 pages. And then my smallest book of the month is Prince of Song and Sea by Lindsay Miller. And then my biggest book of the month is, I'm really shocked this is bigger than the other book that I thought it was, but that is Daughter of the Moon Goddess, right? Oh no, this is my favorite. Whoops, wrong one. So I was right. I should have just went with that. My biggest book of the month is The First to Die at the End by Adam Severa. And then my favorite book of the month is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Soonlin Tan. My gosh, I'm sorry. I love this one. And then The First to Die at the End was our November book club pick. And if you can't tell by the tabs, I also love this one. So yeah, without me ruining the rest of the 3 books I've read this month, let's just jump into it, shall we? So the first book that I read this month was Prince of Song and Sea by Lindsay Miller. I really enjoyed this one. This one was a 3.5 out of 5 star. I felt very slumpy with this book, and I don't know if that was the book's fault or it was me thing. I'm going to say it's a me thing because I do love a Little Mermaid retelling. So this is a Little Mermaid retelling from Eric's point of view, and it literally took me like 3 weeks to read, and I haven't had a chance to film my book review for this until now. So sorry about that, Jamie, but thank you again so much to Jamie and Disney Books for putting me on this tour. I'm hoping to get better with my book reviews for you guys for next year. I mean, I still have 1 more for this year, but anyways, Prince of Song and Sea follows Eric as he is the point of view of the story. He is getting ready to be the king of the throne, and it's just a hero's journey going on a quest with found family in it. He has 2 best friends that was hilarious throughout the books, Vivian and who's the other one? Oh, I forgot his... Vin and somebody else. Gabriel. They were all funny, and I just really loved this whole cast and crew. So I'm excited to see what Lindsay Miller would do with book 2. I think book 2 comes out sometimes next year in 2023. If it does, that's very exciting. I wonder if she's gonna keep it as a Little Mermaid retelling and go deeper into the story, or if she's gonna pick like or if they're gonna do like what they did with Twisted Tales and do each of the series a different retelling. A friend of mine, Clint from Readers here on book 2, he said that he thinks it's gonna be different retellings, so we'll see what that happens with book 2. But thank you again, Jamie, for sending a finished copy my way. Another shout out to Jamie from Rockstar Book Tours. They sent me a finished copy of Gleanings by Neil Shusterman. I was over the moon excited for this, if you saw that on my book talk. I really enjoyed this one. This is definitely like, it's not a 5-star read for me, which is kind of weird, but I really enjoyed it. I tabbed this one up as well. I got new tabs this month, so I should have put that in my November book haul, but I didn't. But I got new tabs from my friend Lori, so thank you, Lori, for sending me those tabs my way, because I can enjoy tabbing books now. And yeah, it was just such a fun. If you don't know what Gleanings is about, I'm sure I've talked about this somewhere on my channel, but Gleanings is a collection of short stories set in the Scythe world. And if you don't know what Scythe is about, Scythe is a world where it's a dystopian world. It's like our own world, but it's dystopian, and there's no hunger, no disease, no death, no nothing. So it's very intriguing and fun. I don't know if fun is the right word for this series, but it definitely has a moment of like funniness in here, especially in these short stories. I don't know how to really review this collection of short stories without spoiling you of what happens in here, so I'll just give you my star ratings that I have for each of the books. For the first story, which is called The First Swing, I gave a 3 out of 5. For the next one, called Formality, I gave a 4 out of 5. For Never Work with an Animal, which was the longest short story, I gave a 3.5. A Death of Many Colors, 4 out of 5. Unsavory Row, oh my gosh, cannot say that word right, 4 out of 5. A Martin Minute, which reminded me a little bit of The Martian by Andy Weir. I gave that 5 out of 5. The Mortal Canvas was creepy as hell. I gave a 5 out of 5. Circe, I forgot how they say that word. I give a 3 out of 5. Anastasia Shadow was a 5 out of 5. The Prince of Memory was a 5 out of 5. Meet Cute and Die, such a weird title, but it's enjoyable. I give it 4. And then Pre-Chance to Glean, I give 3 out of 5. And then the last story was kind of a letdown, but that was A Dark Curtain Rises, 3 out of 5. So yeah, those are all my star ratings for each of the short stories. And I just love how each of these stories connect with one another. It's just so fun and like thought-provoking of a novel, I can say. And it just made me want to like go back and reread the Scythe trilogy. So I definitely want to do that in December, since I did complete my reading challenge already. So yeah, I really enjoyed this. Overall, I would say this is a 4-star read. It's definitely one I enjoyed, and definitely one I would recommend if people are looking for a short story collection. The next book, I want to make sure I have them. Yep, I want to make sure I have them in the right order. But the next book that I've been reading, that I read, was The First to Die at the End by Adam Severa. This is Adam's newest book, and it's also our Queer Reads book club pick for the month of November, which is why I read it this month. I absolutely loved this book. I tabbed it up, as you can see. I related to one of the main characters a whole lot. One of them was Orion and Valentino. Oh, such a beautiful couple, and like one of my new favorite couples too, which is weird because like it's the end of the year and I usually don't fall in love with characters that often. But these two boys I really loved. And it was just a fun, I don't know if fun's the right word either, because it was dark at sometimes, but it was just an enjoyable read. I love how we got to see how Deathcast started, who created Deathcast. That was fun to learn about, even though there was some sad and scary parts at times. There was also a scene in here that kind of reminded me of like Manifest a little bit, like just the beginning of Manifest. It reminded me, yeah, it's hard for me to summarize books, but I'm trying to get better, especially with my wrap-ups. I would say overall, I really loved this. I could give it a 5 out of 5. I don't know if it will be on my favorite list of the year, maybe like an honorable mention. But I do think Adam could have cut this down a little bit. It doesn't need to be 560 pages. So I felt like it could have been like 300 and it will be done. But I really enjoy the representation we have in here. I really love the narrator that we had for this time around, because I remember listening to They Both Die at the end and wasn't a huge fan of the narrators. So I'm so happy they picked different ones. Overall, it was just really, really great. I love the world, even though Adam Severa himself said that he's not great at the world building, but it can be shown that he's not great in this book. But I still overall really enjoyed the world and love seeing New York through these two boys' point of view. And one thing that I really wasn't a huge fan of this one was there was so many different point of views from different people, which I can see why Adam did that, but towards the end it kind of got a little confusing. Before I ramble on too much, I would say I love the cameos that we saw in here. If you guys read this, you know what I'm talking about. I was literally gasping and FaceTiming my friend Charlie, who's my co-host for Queer Reads. I was like, did you catch that cameo? And she was like, yes, I read it like way early on in the month and absolutely loved and sobbed in it. So I didn't cry in here. I mean, I did cry a little bit. My friend Taylor can tell you that I've cried in here. It's just enjoyable read. I'm so happy I got to it. And it's definitely a perfect book to read for the winter time, because New York gets cold. So I really enjoy this. I definitely will say, if you want to know what happens in the Deathcast world, definitely check out this book. And I'm really happy that I got the Barnes & Noble exclusive. So the next book that I read, I don't own it because I've read it from my library and I don't own a physical copy yet. But that is Forged in Fire and Stars by Andrea Robertson, I think is the author's name. I'll leave a link to it down below from Goodreads. But I really enjoyed it. Wasn't a favorite read of mine. I felt like Princess Song and Sea and Forged into Silver and Stars really got me in a reading slump. Like, they were just 3-star reads that I can't really remember much about. Forged into Silver and Stars. I am reading the sequel this month because my library book is due 2 weeks from now. So hopefully I'll have time to read book 2. Very nervous to see what will happen in it because there was a huge cliffhanger in book 1. But again, I do own book 3 as an e-arc from Penguin Teen. So thank you so much, Penguin Teen, if you watch this video. I don't know if you guys will. But thank you again for sending me an arc of book 3. Book 3 doesn't come out till May 2023. So I have like this whole month of December to binge read book 2 and 3. So really gonna enjoy doing that. But I can't really tell you much about book 3 or book 1 because I don't have a copy with me, and I kind of don't really remember too much, except I compare it to like Shadow and Bones and Ember in the Ashes. So if you love those 2 series, I think you would really love this. So yeah, 3 out of 5 stars, kind of forgettable. So next I have is one of my favorite reads of the month, and that is Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Sun Lin Tan. I picked this up on a whim this month because I was like, I want an adult fantasy book, but I don't want like Miss Boyne yet because book 7 wasn't out at the time. Hold on a sec. Sorry about that. My dogs were like barking and whining, so I had to go check on them, but they are all okay. They were heading to the dog park, so that's why they got excited. Anyways, I think I was talking about Daughter and the Moon Goddess. So like I said, I wanted an adult fantasy book to pick up this month, but I didn't want one that was like so chunky and huge. Mistborn. Um, um, and I wanted to pick this one up because the sequel for this came out in November, so I was like, oh, perfect month for me to read it. And also because this was on my 5-star prediction list, number 4, which I'll leave up above or down below. This is kind of a hard book to explain what it's about, but I really loved, it's not really like a love triangle. I would say it's more like a love square, maybe? It was a really fast-paced read, and I'm so happy that my mom picked this out for me because I showed her this one and Kingdom of the Curse, and I was like, which one do you want me to read next? So she picked this one out, and it was an amazing read. It was a 5-star read for me, so we can check this book off my 5-star prediction list. And just know you're going in for a wild ride. And I know my friend Sammy from Books and Dogs and Coffee on Instagram, and same name on Book Talk. She read this really recently as well, and I've been texting her nonstop, and I'm like, oh my god, this happened, oh my god, they finally kiss, oh my god, somebody's dying. So I'm scared to read book 2. I've asked book 2 for Christmas, so we'll see if I do get it for Christmas, because that cover, though, oh my god, it's so much beautiful than the first one. But I'm happy I read this. I really enjoyed it, and I'm gonna do a video on like all the 2022 new releases that I haven't read yet, and this was almost in that video, and now it won't be, and it will be on my favorite list of 2022, which I'm so excited to film for you guys. But how can I explain this book? I guess we can say this follows our main character Shin as she is kicked out of the castle because she doesn't want to like work for her mom or something like that. I don't know, it's weird. I'll just read you the inside flap here. It says, an enthralling debut fantasy inspired by the legend of Shang, the Chinese moon goddess, in which a young woman quests to free her mother, sets on her dangerous path, and pits her against the most powerful immortal in the realm. So yeah, that basically sums it up for you guys. I would say definitely check out the narrator or the audiobook for this, because the narrator was Natalie Naudus, and I loved everything that Natalie have narrated so far. So I'm excited to pick up book 2. I do have book 2 as available to me right now from Scribd. But you guys know I love having like a physical copy to read along and follow. So I'm going to wait until to see if I get book 2 for Christmas, because I did ask for it. They know who they are. But yeah, I've really enjoyed this. So happy I gave it 5 stars, and I'm so happy I can cross it off my list. And I don't know, I don't really know what else to say, except I'm excited to see, I'm excited but also nervous to see what's going to happen in book 2, because this is only a duology. So we'll see if I get to it this month. If not, I'll definitely save it for January. Next book is another book I picked up on a whim. I actually put this in my Thanksgiving vlog along with Daughter and the Moon Goddess, and that is Last Night at the Telegraph Club by Melinda Lowe. I was kind of tired of reading fantasy, because I read, well, The First to Die at the End wasn't a fantasy book, but Gleanings was a big book that you saw. First to Die at the End was a big book. Forge and Silvering Stars was 400 pages, and then Daughter of the Moon Goddess was like 500 pages. So I wanted something, even though this does look a little chunky on camera, I wanted something light and easy to read, and boy was I wrong about this. I don't really see a lot of people talk about this anymore. I know it was popular when it first came out, and maybe it still is on Book Talk. But if you don't know what The Last Night at the Telegraph Club is about, this follows 2 main girls named Lily and Catherine. Yes, I remember the names without having to look at the back. These are 2 best friends from like high school, and they go out one night to this club, and they find out later what the club is all about and who runs it and what happens in this club is staying in the club and all that. It's kind of an interesting read, to be honest, if you love historical fiction. I haven't read a whole lot of historical fiction, and me realizing that, like, after I finished this book, I looked back at my reading year of 2022, and I was like, wow, I haven't really read a whole lot of historical fiction book. And I really enjoyed this one. It wasn't a 5-star read because there was some parts in here that I really didn't like how the parents kicked their daughter out for being a lesbian, and then they made them come back home, and I'm like, no, that's not how it is, but that's probably how it is in real life. This is set in the 1950s, 1954 to be exact. So this was a interesting read and definitely a learning experience for sure. Will I read this again? Maybe, just because there was some parts when I was listening to it via audiobook that I kind of missed and just kind of got swept away. But I think overall I really enjoyed it. I mean, I enjoyed it so much that, spoiler alert for my December book haul, I bought the companion novel of this from Target. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen in the companion novel, because I think we follow 2 side characters from this book as the main people, which I love it when authors do that. But yeah, I overall really enjoy this. I would say this is like, I would say like a 4 stars, a solid 4 stars. And I really think this is a book recommended for certain people, like people who like historical fiction. I think will really love this. Like, I recommended this to my grandma and she hasn't picked it up yet, but I'm very excited to see what she would think of this. But yeah, I just really enjoyed it. Love the representation in here, and I definitely cannot wait to read the companion this month. And the final book that I read in the month of November was The Gilded Cage by Letty Noni. This was another book I forgot to mention. I partake in a readathon this month, which was a readathon that we pick books from our own TBR and just read as much as we can. And as you can see, I read six books plus the library books. So I really accomplished a lot in November, even though it was such a small reading month. The Gilded Cage by Letty Noni was for read a book that's set in your favorite genre. And for me, I'm mostly a fantasy reader now. Look at me go. There are a few contemporary books that you will see throughout my shelves. But like mostly I'm a fantasy reader now, which I love that for me. Anyways, The Gilded Cage by Letty Noni is the second installment of the Prison Healer trilogy, and I absolutely loved this trilogy. I can say that I completed this trilogy. I read for my first book of December, spoiler alert for my December wrap up. My first book I read was The Blood Trader, just because I couldn't wait that long to see what happened in book 3, because this had a crazy cliffhanger. I was literally texting one of my librarian friends. My librarian friend Nicole, she recommended this book to me when I went to the library earlier this month. She was like, you read the first book, right? I was like, yes. And then she's like, well, pick up book 2 and 3, because I just binge read them this month and they were amazing. And I was like, okay. So I picked this up one weekend in November, and I could not put it down. I think I finished it like Monday night I started this. So yeah, I overall really enjoyed it. The characters in this one was amazing. We got to get introduced to not a whole new cast, but we got some new side characters in here that was fun to read about. The sibling dynamic in here was super funny to read about as well, especially between, they're not really siblings, but like more like friend dynamic, I guess. Their friendship, Calvin and Kiva. It was just such fun YA fantasy. If you love the Hunger Games, I think you will love this. I also know Sarah J. Maas have blurbed this book, so if you love The Hunger Games and Throne of Glass, I think you will really love this series. Definitely check it out. It's hard for me to talk about a sequel without spoiling you guys of what happened, but I would say there is a tournament aspect in here, so if you're looking for like a tournament book to read for any readathon, this series definitely have it throughout all 3 books, which is really fun to read about. But yeah, I'm really excited to talk about book 3 in my December wrap up. But I really enjoyed this one. It wasn't a 5-star read because, again, there was some stuff in here that I didn't really enjoy. But that's like minor spoilers, so I'm not really going to talk much about that. But just know I really enjoyed this series, and I'm curious to see what Lenny Noni has in store for us. Because she says she has more in store, so I'm excited to see what that's going to be about. I hope it's a spin-off series. That will be really, really fun. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Give it 5, or not 5. I give it 4 out of 5 stars, and it was amazing read, and I had a fun time with it, so that's really enjoyable. So there you have it, folks. Those are all the 7 books I read in the month of November. If you read any of these books, let me know what you thought of them, and I will love to chat with you guys down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give me a big thumbs up. Hit that subscribe button, turn your notification on so you don't miss any new videos coming from me soon. And I will just chat with you down below. Let me know in the comments down below what was your favorite read of the month. Did you have a favorite read? Did you have a least favorite read? Are you loving our Queer Reads book club picks? Let me know down below. If you want to join Queer Reads, please let me know down below as well, because we have a group chat down on Instagram. So let me know if you like to read along with us, and I will just talk to you guys down in the comments below. Bye.